You're out?
No, more. That's fine, mate.
Okay, firstly I'd like to welcome you all to today's session, and our presenter is Craig Kelly, the 7 Ps of nutrition and fat loss. Craig has had over 18 years experience in the health and fitness industry, which roles including personal trainer, health club manager, health and fitness managing director, international sports supplement company consultant, national health club consultant, full-time lecturer, clinical nutritionist, and a public health, corporate and motivational speaker. An anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa survivor turned light heavyweight bodybuilder. This man has changed many people's lives with his unique fat loss and nutrition coaching business and an inspiring life story. Craig brings applied science and life experience to this entertaining, must-see presentations and coaching session. So if you could all please put your hands together and make him feel really welcome. Craig Kelly.
Don't forget the end, no throwing tomatoes either, you know. You can't duck
I thought I left that to you, mate.
No, all right, don't do it. Thanks again. Cheers. Pleasure. Has everyone enjoyed the expo so far? Yeah. I want to thank firstly Fitness Network and Filex and all that for having me here. It's always a privilege to present information to people that want to learn. I suppose it's important from my standpoint to understand what you want to learn today. You know, it's fine. We put together information or a synopsis about what we're going to present here.
Craig, sorry, just check.
Let there be noise. Hello? Hello?
Beautiful.
Yes. Is that cool? Yeah, okay. So, I mean, what are you here for? It's called the 7 Ps of nutrition and fat loss, but what do you want to learn today? How to lose fat with fat people, or, you know, working with elite athletes? What to eat? Because it's huge. Working in clinical nutrition is just monumental. You know, my business, Fusion Fat Loss and Nutrition, solely works on working with fat loss. I hate weight loss. I despise the term weight loss because it instigates that we've got to form a relationship with something that doesn't have any feelings for you at all. It doesn't measure cortisol components. It doesn't measure dopamine, serotonin levels, and they're the scales. And they almost killed me when I was anorexic. So I don't have a great relationship with working with scales. So it's important that the information I present to you today, that you feel more than happy to put your hand up at any time and ask a question. Well, Craig, what does that mean? How does that work? I always like showing you how fat loss works at a cellular level. So you can see, fine, you might work with fat loss and overweight patients, but how do you physically allow fat loss to happen? How does insulin work? How does adipsin work? How does adiponectin work? How does CKK, ghrelin, all the stuff that you need to know about how fat loss works. None of you can sit in here and say, I'm a fat loss expert if you don't know none of that stuff. It's just the critical stuff, the anatomy and physiology, unless you understand how, once you put something in that food tube, that 9-metre tube from mouth to butt, how that works, well then you really need to focus a lot on your ANP so that when you hear a fad or something that's new and you go, wow, this could work. Well then when you look at the endocrinology or the endocrine system, the digestive system, and you can understand that as back to front, you won't ever question your knowledge base. You'll be like, no, that's just gunk. That's just another fad that's here for 5 minutes. So hopefully some of that stuff you can take away with you today. So when we get to one of the points, which is physiology and anatomy, if you've got questions that pertain to that area, let rip. All right, let's start. So presented by me. And it's all about the thinker. You've got to think a lot when you're dealing with people. So again, we can't blueprint anything in regards to fat loss and nutrition. So some of these are rhetorical questions. I don't mind if you don't answer them, but I definitely want you to think about it and write down something on paper. Ask yourself these simple questions. Have you, bless you, have you ever dieted? And if the answer is yes, why? Has it been to morph, to physically look different? Because you've been in a bodybuilding competition, because you're a boxer, because you're in a weight-specific group? Have you ever been in a 12-week challenge? Those sorts of things. So answer why. Did you achieve what you wanted to or so desired? Are you happy with yourself today? Really? when you physically look yourself in the mirror, are you happy with what you see today? Or are you still confused about how you can physically change your physical status now? What to eat, when to eat, how much carb, no carb, simple carb, complex carb, after 3, after 12, no. Okay, so these are the things I really want you to ask yourself. 4 comes. It's more important. Are you afraid of food? Have you ever asked your clients this question? Give it a go. That's one of the first things I ask when people come into my clinical practice. Are you scared of food? And it doesn't. And I pre-frame. If I use language, I apologise. I just get excited about this stuff sometimes. So if I use shit or something, please, don't get too upset with me, please. But a lot of people are just scared shitless. Absolutely, they don't know what to eat. They've consulted with people. Someone at the gym's told them this. Their girlfriend's on Celebrity Slim. Someone's on Tony Ferguson. They are so confused with what they need to know. And then, my friend tried that diet. It worked for her. I tried it. It didn't. So then there might be some psychological aspects. There may be some endocrine aspects. So in my clinical practice, we take blood. We do blood triglycerides, glucose, get them tinkling in a container, measure ketone bodies, etc. So we can have a look at that. But a lot of it's about this thing up here. Do you ever feel guilty after eating, or do your clients ask why? So to this day, I suffered with anorexia and bulimia between 93 and 6. To this day, I still hate adipose tissue. I despise it. It's like, ugh. So I'm always dealing with it. You're never a recovered anorexic. You're always a recovering anorexic. So it's very important that I don't bring my thoughts and beliefs into my clinical practice when I'm dealing with Joe and Betty Bag of Donuts. That's who I'm dealing with, not me. And have your clients, this is probably what most of you do, who's a personal trainer, nutritionist, dietitian? Yeah, so again, I suppose you're dealing with people who want these sorts of things. The 2009 fitness review stated the 2 reasons people are in health clubs, the 2 prime reasons. What were those? Weight loss and morphing, physique change. Not to do 1,000 burpees in 10 seconds, not to bench press 200 kilos. It doesn't surprise me though. That's the reason people join. They're not happy. They're in pain. They want pleasure. And I think it's really important, the honesty question. Be honest with your answers. Why are you here tonight? I want to know why you're here, as I said before. So who's got reasons? Dave's here because he loves me. But why is anyone else here? Come on, I don't bite.
With your clients to be able to service them, I suppose.
Yeah. Service them in hope not service them. You mean, yeah, okay. Okay, right, fair enough. Yeah, fantastic. I'm glad you're here for that. You need to know more. Okay. I love those people who need to know more. Who watched the thing on SBS the other night? Did we see that thing about the fit? How good was that? About how we need to know more. And Greg Hurst, I loved him. He was like a ram with horns. Anyone said anything against our industry, he was just there to nail them. Don't you? A lawyer said something. No, I don't think you've got the right to say that, he said. He was defending us like you wouldn't believe. So, but it's true. I find it difficult sometimes. I'm a perfectionist, have to be the leanest, the skinniest, the largest, the brightest, the what have you. It's a personality trait that I hate, but I love in the same way, because it can help me achieve some wonderful things. But being a perfectionist, you don't always achieve everything you want. You'll try, but it did. It wasn't great trying to get to 39 kilos with renal failure. That wasn't a good thing, So I don't recommend anorexia, by the way. Bulimia, shoved my hand that far down, my gob. I was playing, Bar Black Sheep on the liver and ended up with, so much gastrointestinal upsets, like peptic ulcers and stuff because of the uric acid. It was insane. But again, that was a mental issue I had to deal with. Thankfully, I chose life over death, I was the only male in the anorexic clinic here in New South Wales. I live in Brisbane now. And with 13 girls, the stuff that we discussed was just mind-blowing, Craig, they're going to put you on this, make sure you can't eat. So if you scald your mouth with boiling hot water out of the kettle, you can't eat then. So the things that we were discussing then were horrendous. And those things have stuck with me forever. So I thought from then I have to get myself out of here because I need to make a difference. And it wasn't until 99 when my grandmother passed, my best buddy, pal, mentor, she's on my website, that I said, right, she's passed, I need to leave a legacy. I need to coach, I need to mentor, I need to give you dudes stuff that you can use out in the industry that makes a big difference. And hopefully this is what you get today. I mean, in 75 minutes, I can't give you everything because there's a lot that you already know. And some of the stuff you're going to hear today, you already know. I'm not here to say that I know everything. That's not the case. But there might be something you take away from today that you can implement immediately, whether for yourself or someone you love or someone that you dislike but still pays you. That as long as you walk away with something and say, well, going to see that Craig dude wasn't a total waste of time. So, sorry, question. Someone had a question over here. I said, why are people here? Have you got a question? No? Anyone else? Questions? Yes? Okay, cool. Excellent. Good as reason as anything else, hey? And the 7 Ps could be 107 Ps. But ultimately, I think these are the predominant ones that I've felt over the years that I've always come back to. What do you want to learn? Are you confident in your own knowledge and ability, or are you confused, honestly? And I have to stop and say, Dr. Mark McKean from the University of the Sunshine Coast and the Australian Institute of Fitness Research Centre has asked a few of us to mention that if you go to a stand at the Australian Institute of Fitness, Mark will have an ability for you to obtain a link to undertake a 15 to 20 minute survey, I think it is, through the University of Sunshine Coast and the Australian Institute of Fitness Research. So it's to see where you guys are in regards to this and what you convey knowledge-wise in regards to nutrition. So we're trying to find out in the industry where you sit. I sat the survey and it was interesting. I mean, which of these foods has the highest saturated fat count? Someone's trying to lose weight. Which of this is the answer? So it's simple, easy, multiple choice, but it's something that I recommend you all go and do, so we as an industry can get a package so that we can either look at implementing a training package where you can upgrade to have better nutrition qualifications, because the last thing we want you out there doing is conveying a message that's of extreme danger.
What was that website?
You have to go down to the Australian Institute of Fitness and ask, and they'll give you a specific link to go to. I'm pretty sure it's the www.usc University of Sunshine Coast edu.au//AIFR. Oh, there's a handout that you've got. So if you go down to the Australian Institute, just here. Okay, well that's where you'll get. There's that little handout that you'll be able to obtain. It's really good and worth your while for all of us.
Is that put into practice as the SBS thing, or is that just happening?
No, it's been going a long time before that. Do you want simple solutions to complex situations? Nutrition is so complex. The reality is it's not about putting a lettuce leaf in your gob and going, I've got some, specific fibre. Nutrition is all biochemistry and chemistry. When you look at all the endocrine functions that take place. So just before I mentioned some of those hormones, adiponectin, adipsin, all of those things. Each individual fat cell talks. It communicates. It's such a gossip monger. So Paris Hilton did this is that. They're their own individual organs, adipose cells. So they're amazing. But you need to know that stuff. Well, I think you do anyway. Lifestyle management is the key to all your questions and problems. And it is really this simple. Again, remember, questions at any time, let rip, team. Okay, Craig, what is this lifestyle management thing? Well, here it comes. Yep, that's right. The 7 Ps of nutrition and fat loss equates to lifestyle management, which really is this. Proper preparation and practice prevents piss-poor performance, and that is so true. It doesn't matter what you do in any area of your life. If you're not prepared, you're not going to achieve anything. Absolutely nothing. It matters, therefore, that if you are looking for weight management, fat loss, how do you prepare an eating regime that allows that to happen? Are you insulin poor? Are you insulin rich? Will the hormone insulin inhibit fat loss? Yes, because the bank teller, hormone-sensitive lipase, can't work. Is insulin going to have an effect on our ability to burn fat then? Who knows how fat loss works? Who knows that here is a fat cell, okay, and inside the fat cell we have dollar values which we ascertain to be triacylglycerol. Now, We want that fat cell like this, not happy as they normally are, because they're more than satisfied. They've got an abundance of fuel in there. So we have to say, sucker, we need you. We need to get into the ATM machine to obtain a relationship with this fuel. How do we get to the ATM machine? Well, we had those things called catecholamines. Sorry, I write now in Arabic. Catecholamines, which are adrenaline, noradrenaline. They bind to this antagonist. It's an antagonist. It's a beta receptor, which is the ATM machine. That's your PIN number. You've got a certain number that allows you to enter through this membrane to activate the bank teller. Hormone-sensitive lipase. Hormone-sensitive lipase says, you dudes, come with me. We're going shopping. So they're now in the bloodstream. They're in the bloodstream, and they're now in Westfield shopping. Here we are, these little free fatty acids, because the bank tellers allowed this to happen. So now they're looking for a place to spend. Where's the only place in the body we spend fat? And that's right, the mitochondria and the muscle cell, I hear you say. That's it there. It's there. So we have to obtain those fellas knocking on the door. Can't get in. Why? Because we need a specific protein, don't we? Called carnitine, which allows, again, entry of this free fatty acid or dollar value into the mitochondria, and kaboom! Fat burning has just taken place. How complex is that shit? Amazingly complex. But guess what? That's how fat burning happens and takes place, only if this isn't about. If that's about, none of this can happen, because hormone-sensitive lipase, the only specific hormone that allows us triacylglycerol access, inhibits that. It's amazing. So if we are ingesting food sources that are going to have an effect on insulin secretion, well, where there's no fat burning taking place. Does insulin only become secreted via consuming of carbohydrate? The answer to that is no. Because if we consume protein sources, such as red meat, does it have a branched chain amino in it called leucine? Yes, it does. Leucine is a potent anabolic hormone that becomes great friends with insulin. So once we say, well, don't have any carbohydrates and that'll lead to fat loss because there's no insulin available, that's what some experts will tell you. But they won't tell you that you'll also have an insulin secretion once you consume carbohydrate, because protein, because of the branched chain amino leucine, which is the most anabolic of the branched chain amino acids. So again, this stuff is critical. So therefore, there's more confusion. So what? Do I eat carbs? Do I eat protein? Do I eat nothing?
Good question. Kangaroo meat.
Yeah, great, isn't it? Awesome.
Do you class as a red meat or a game, or
Well,
would that be
It's
high insulin?
yes, it is, but again, so this is what I want you to understand. This is how complex this issue gets. So therefore, if we know insulin has an effect on protein, will have an effect on insulin secretion, but carbohydrate does too, what do we eat then? We don't eat either, because they're going to inhibit fat loss. So this is where it gets real, unfortunately, complex, and then people go, well, Craig, I don't know what to eat. This is what I'm going to try and help you with today. Okay, the simple answer is you eat everything. Okay, but it's about nutrient timing is critical, no doubt. Simple, really, and that's the problem for most people. It's not hip, it's not vogue, it's not trendy enough, but that's not my problem. My problem is to give you the information that you can take away and say to your client, hey, I want to lose some of this love handle here. How do I do it? You are the experts. Show me how to do it. And you go, right, this is how we do it. As I've stated, the 7 P's of nutrition and fat loss really is about proper preparation and practice. Preparing meals, knowing when you're training, how often you train. You know, you're dealing with real people. They might work 70 hours as merchant bankers. How can they plan their food effectively? That's not your problem. You need to be able to, you know, give them this information that they can take ownership and move up the ladder rung, the imperative importance of where they prioritise their goal. Is it really important that they look different? Do they really want it enough? And the simple answer is, you don't really know that. You've got to do your best once they're in your time slot to give them as much information, to be their unreasonable friend when you need to, but to pat them on the back and tell them when they're doing good things. Ask them to bring their diary, their nutrition diary daily. Because if you've read the notes, if you've downloaded the notes, you'd see how I talk about the subconscious. It's a picture of their minds. A diary is a catalogue of what's going on up here. So if they've had a really bad day, you might see lots of foods that you normally wouldn't see. So again, there's that emotional relationship taking place. They want to be at the pleasure centre, so they'll consume something high in sugar and high in saturated fat. They'll have something that's carbohydrate based because of the relationship on serotonin. Oh, hang on. Go back, Craigus. Okay, so as I said, the proper preparation and practice thing, that's too easy. You go, okay, right, thanks. Thanks for nothing. I want 7 Ps. You said 7 Ps. Well, there's 7 there, but I'll give you more. This is the recipe. The psychedelic plant kingdom. Why is that so important? Why is the psychedelic plant kingdom important? Well, here. What was it? Einstein came up with E equals mc squared. I think this is as good as anything else. H equals md over E. Health equals nutrient density over energy intake. So, what is the plant kingdom going to be low in and high in? It'll be high in nutrients and low in energy. That's correct. Why is that? Well, obviously it's predominantly water. There's no sugar or low sugar. But it's got all of this nutrient-dense matter. What's so important about the nutrient-dense matter? We'll get further into. Colour. The immune system of the plant. You don't get this on chunking on the hide of a cow. None of this stuff we're talking about now you're going to get through eating any of that. Why are phytonutrients and phytochemicals so important? Fibre is fat. It's so cool. But if you're on a 50% protein diet, 35% fat diet, and maybe 10 to 15% carbohydrate diet, how much fibre, how much phytonutrient, antioxidant are you going to obtain? Very little. Are you just here to morph people, or are you here to give them health equals nutrient density over energy intake? Are you just here to make people look like bodybuilders? Or are you here to give them everything they want? Looking good, feeling good, adding more years to their life, not just life to their years. That's critical. If they're feeling good, they'll continue to come back to you. If they're looking good but feel like shit, they may not. And yes, I am sorry, they are carbohydrates. Does that mean that we don't eat them now because of the carbohydrate thing? Who here is carbohydrate scared? Who isn't? And an honest answer. Who here is confused about carbohydrates? When to eat them, how much to eat, the insulin effect? Is that a fair question? I see some people nodding their head. Yeah, well, I don't know if that means they are confused, they're not confused. The answer is we need to be consuming carbohydrates, but so it's not about how much, it's the type of carbohydrate. And that's not rocket science to any of you, I'm sure. So let's look at the importance of phytonutrients. So they're compounds that have a positive effect on us as individuals. So we can undertake eating a plant-based food source, obtaining things that are going to lead to us obtaining a health benefit. Things like acting as an antioxidant with beta-carotene. So all of those things, the carotenoids, yellows, orange, greens, dark green fruits, you need to look down and think you've just had a marijuana cookie at your plate. Unless you're spun out like the kaleidoscope with colour, go and get some more colour and add to your plate. That is the stuff you need. Not white potato, not just white pasta, not parsnip, you want colour. The more colour, the more vivacious, the more of those phytochemicals that you can obtain, the better the benefit to your health. Defying things like heat proteins, keeping cortisol low, suppressing inflammation, all of the things that you are undertaking. Remember, this stuff where now, if you get someone to do a bicep curl, that's a medical stress. There's cellular trauma. Is there not? Yeah, so you are now talking, this is where this is dead set A&P stuff, anatomy and physiology, not spandex and lycra and burpees and bench press. This is a lot more than that stuff. You are now looking at a cellular level and how people function. Food is medicine, as Hippocrates said many, many moons ago. altering effects of hormones such as estrogen, keeping women's bone mineral density high, not to forget us dudes. Fighting off and being able to inhibit, to the best of our ability, depending on genetic predisposition, things like breast cancer, both male and female, prostate cancer. So we've got to look at those things like lignans. We're looking at flaxseed, we're looking at soy, we're looking at whole grains. We need to be sticking those things down our gullet. And once again, they are carbohydrates. So they're going to make you fat? No, they're not. They're going to make you feel fat, as in fat is in good. Helping to fight cancer-causing agents. Lycopene, as we said, for the prostate gland. The reds, remember the abundance and stuff like that. We need to be consuming those dudes on a regular basis. Once again, this don't come from no cow. Just because the flesh is red, we're not getting this, the vital force of food. You need to be sticking this stuff in your gullet. Limiting inflammation. These acids are phenomenal. So, if you're not having turmeric and curry powder, why, I ask? Who suffers from aches and pains? A lot of our clients come in, I'm glucosamine chondroitin, I'm sucking on fish like you wouldn't believe. They're trying to get the anti-inflammatory. Yeah, geez, I can smell it, don't come near me. So you want to be hooking into, if you see the research on this stuff, turmeric, it's phenomenal. So again, you don't get these things out of anywhere else except going to a pharmacist and sucking on another pill. I'm not into sucking on pills. Here's the food. Here is the greatest product available to us. The the plant-based kingdom is amazing. It gives us all of this stuff. Yet people don't eat enough of it. So you have to get a bit hard. You need to give your clients targets. Okay, here's your diary. I hate that 2 and 5 bullshit. That's not enough. 2 and 5 to have at breakfast. You know, you need to be looking at the contingency plan. Your insurance policy is 15 plus a day, colours. Reducing blood cholesterol. So we know beta-glucan, how that works with oats, etc. Once again, reducing blood cholesterol is a critical thing. How many people come in and you do an advanced medical screen, they'll say, yeah, I'm on a statin. I'm on a statin drug. I'm fat, I'm overweight. The doctor said, look, my blood pressure's up, and he's also going to think about putting me on another, Lipitor. Get them off that stuff. The problem is with the sterols that they add to margarine and those things. I hate those as well. So this is something I do in clinical practice. People say, oh, Craig, I can't eat Vegemite toast without butter on it. I say, fair, fine, okay, well, let me go to the fridge. I'll get to you in a second, Princess. I'll go to the fridge and I'll pull out this container of margarine now. I'll sit here and I'll just watch you eat that off your finger. Can you do that? No, I'm not doing that. Well, then why do you need it on your bloody toast for? You can't eat it, you can't enjoy it. Why the hell do it? It's habit forming. It's habitual, isn't it? It's what you do. Do you need that gunk in your body? No, you don't. Oh, but those specific margarines are going to lower my cholesterol. You know the best thing to lower your cholesterol? Get bloody animal-based saturated fats out of your diet. It's that simple. I see it in clinical practice daily. I take clients' bloods every week. We see it on a daily basis. What happens? Reduce that shit, great things happen. You don't need margarines and stuff. If you eat them now, dudes, get off that crap. It's just junk. And sorry, back to you.
I was just going to say that I do have some clients that are on cholesterol-lowering medication.
Yeah.
And
all of them? Yeah.
well, one in particular, as a result of taking the medication to lower cholesterol, then became depressed. Couldn't then get an erection.
Oh, wow.
Which is one
I had my penis removed. I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah, it is. If you read the side effects, it's horrible.
doctor then prescribes
Viagra?
Viagra,
Yeah.
right, and antidepressants as well. So she's on this whole concoction, but I can't compete with a doctor. I'm not qualified to say, get off that crap,
Yeah.
which is what you just said,
Yeah.
even though I'd love to.
But that's why you say, I know this dude you need to speak to. And he'll tell you to get off that crap, and I do compete with the doctors. So I'm that black sheep, that rebel without a cause, Like, get off that shit. Come into my practice, we'll take blood, and we'll do it. We'll show you. You know, and this is what happens. It's amazing what can happen. Again, you try very hard not to say, doctor, you suck, you don't know, because that's not going to work, you know. Obviously, you try very hard to form great relationships.
Personal trainers in this room that are probably feeling like, I don't know who to refer to that's as qualified as you are, because I certainly can't compete with, you know, a GP.
Yeah, that's so true.
Why would they listen to me over a GP? Of course the doctor's going to win every time.
And this is why it's critical you fill out that survey, because this is why we're trying to move us from spandex and lycra into allied health profession. This is critical for our industry that you do this stuff so that the doctors can say, instead of just referring on to a dietitian, okay, they can say, look, we can see exercise professionals, they can give better than just, you know, eat 2 serves of fruit and 5 serves of vegetables. They have a better knowledge base. And then working with dietitians, nutritionists, we become a lot more respected as an industry. We can go to a doctor and say, look, we don't need this doc. We can treat without that stuff. Give us a chance to prove it to you. It's just going to be a matter of time where we can prove that over time. And this is why I went to Parliament, Queensland Parliament, in November of last year with a synopsis, with a presentation about trying to do this. Just that. Dealing with bureaucrats is unbelievable. Dealing with politicians, it's crazy. I was just sad, fired up. The chick, the head of Queensland Health, she's sitting there with me with this, the secretary of the obesity. And she said, our policies are working fine. I said, you've got to be kidding. Sweetheart, grab my arm, let's go walk down Queen Street in Queensland and I'll show you how great it's working. It's not. They're kidding themselves. The problem is, if you've got a competitive product, which is results, you know, they should be going, great, we've got people that want to help. Look at all you dudes here. You're not here because you don't want to help. You want to make a difference, surely, you know. So I understand where you're going, and that's where it's important to network heavily with really good nutritionists, dietitians, whoever you want to do. And then that's how we fight it.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating.
Oh, it's crazy so. And you'll say, okay, look, let's train hard, let's eat well, let's lower saturated fat, and I'll show you why too in a minute. I'd hear that, yeah. There's one clinical year practice. Same academic component of study, identical. So it's that 3 years of academia. The last year of dietetics is predominantly clinical. Okay, so when you go and work in hospice or hospitals, you may go and work with Brisbane Raw, you may go and do some clinical time. I didn't want to do that. As an exercise scientist, I wanted to go, I had that stuff, I wanted to get in and practice what I knew. Yeah, so that's the difference.
Have you heard of Czech practitioners?
Yes, yeah, Paul Czech stuff.
Yeah. What do you think of that? There's one where I live. And
I think it's fantastic. Did you see Stephanie Gilmore, this chick Australian surfer? She uses a Czech.
Yeah, because I advise my clients to go to him, and it's just great.
It's important that if you feel that you are smothered, don't know, don't feel obliged to go, look, I'm going to wing this one. Just go, look, I know some people that I can refer you on to. I really recommend you speak to these people because it may just be a little bit of consultation and that makes a massive difference. Okay, but awesome question because I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. As we said, enhancing the immune function. We've just talked about if you do a bicep curl, a squat, you do a CrossFit class, you do whatever you love and your clients come in and you just bash them silly. Well, they're just walking away and their cells are going, oh, shit, you know, and they're secreting these things called cytokines, which are natural inflammatory agents. Then there's all these heat proteins secreted, and it's just inflammation sitting. So guess what? The white blood cells have to go and work, don't they? So the immune system, we want to say, well, I've just had HGH, I've had a massive boost of human growth hormone food, Tucker, to get my immune system supported. If you just continue to eat gunk, well, you're not going to have the ability to have that immune system at a level that's operating as a Formula One vehicle rather than a little Daewoo Matiz. You've got to focus heavily on what you're eating for. And you've got to, once again, be powerful in your convictions. You know, people don't achieve things for one reason. Because they have no conviction in direction. Their direction will give them conviction. If they believe in you, they'll do what you tell them. But if you feel fluffy and you're, I'm not sure, protein, carb, do I have that after? Oh, look, I'm not real sure. Don't fluff. Give them the people they need to go and talk to. Use a fitness specialist. You may not be nutrition specialist. You may not be Pilates specialist. Someone's got bad lower lumbar spine issues. Go and get them to see a Pilates specialist. It's going to make a massive difference. So work with the industry. Don't feel that you have to do it all. Unfortunately, I know you all have to make make some dosh to survive. I understand that. But you'll obtain greater respect from people like myself if I get a knock on the door. Oh, Joe and Betty Bag of Donuts from down the Gold Coast referred me to you. Great. I will then send thank you so much. And then if I know someone who, because I'm not on the Gold Coast, I'm in Brisbane or wherever you're from, I will send people to you. I mean, the way of the web now, the World Wide Web, anyone can get hold of anyone at any time. So this stuff, remember, think that you've had a smoke, you've looked down at your plate and you're, whoa, spinning out. It's psychedelic, baby. It's colour. If there's no colour and your clients have got no colour, when you go through their door and you go, wholemeal bread, oh, that shit deli meat, cheese, oh, okay, breakfast, they had Wheat Bix and milk. Oh, what they had full May yogurt at afternoon tea, and then at dinner they had a slab of kangaroo, and that's all they ate because they can't eat carbs after 3. None. Okay. Well, again, they're just going to, be on. Oh, but I'm taking a supplement. I'm taking a multivitamin, and I'm taking them super nutrient multivitamins at the moment. Guess what? There's no vital force, none whatsoever. There's thousands of chemical constituents inside an apple. We don't know which one of those specific ones we just transparently pull out of the apple and say, you're the antioxidant we need. We're going to stick you in the pill to make it work better. They work in harmony. We've got no idea where we're at in regards to that. Food technicians, chemists, biochemists, we don't know yet. It's not just pulling out lycopene and saying, okay, that's going to work great for the male G-spot, and say, prostate, you're happy now. We don't know that. It's an assumption. We're presuming that's the case. What happens if it's one of the other specific chemicals, interactions with lycopene that allows that to happen? And this is the great things with the greatest frontier currently in our industry is the stampeding effect of science and nutrition at the moment. It's going to be huge over the next 10 to 15 years. I'm sure there's going to be so much information that comes out that blows us away. So is there any questions in regards to the psychedelic plant kingdom? Do you eat them? Yeah. Do you look at colour and go, wow, that's good for me? Of course it is. Make sure you start to tell your client, I don't like them. Stiff shit, eat them. Do you like life? Yeah, well, good, eat them. I don't want to be at your funeral reading your eulogy. You have to be abrupt sometime. Yes?
Do you find that, obviously the way that you present and all the rest of it is very much sort of straight down the line. Do you find that people will respond to that as well?
Some do. Some hate me, But again, being in the industry for so long and working with people and going, mate, it'll be all right. It's not. I haven't been able to help people by doing that. Sometimes it's a matter of choosing the fights you want to fight. Once people come into you and they consult with you for the first time, you ask the right questions. Are you scared of food? Yes, I'm petrified of food. I don't know what to eat. No, it's all right. No, I've got a trainer. I've got a friend, a bodybuilder mate who's told me what to do. There's baggage there, so you have to work at it. And this is where that whole psychology thing we talk about soon is. So it's here. It's number one on the rung. It's hard work there. So sometimes, when I was a personal trainer, I thought it was hard because you'd take away everyone's baggage. You'd be training Mrs. Betty in the morning, bag of donuts, and she'd be humping someone else, and you'd train Dad in the afternoon, Mr. Bag of Donuts, and you'd think, oh no, this is pressure. I don't know how to deal with this. You've got everyone's baggage you're dealing with all the time. Yet I like this challenge because food was something that almost killed me, but it's also the thing that I'm most passionate about. It almost killed me, but it has kept me alive. So, again, I found the mamby-pamby, you'll be right, mate thing didn't work enough. Whereas now, again, people will come to me on referral base. Oh, I've worked with Craig, I've achieved great things, fantastic things. When I talk at government, I've just worked on a massive contract with Powerlink, which runs the government grid, the energy grid in Queensland. 2,500 employees. I speak the same to them. And the business that you attract from that, because they're all going to gyms and trying to lose weight. They're trying to morph. It's important that I am who I am. I can't sort of fluff and, no, this is how I present it. There's not enough energy in it.
And I think the industry is very much the same. Everyone tries to sort of tiptoe around issues.
Yeah, I'm over that. Now, if they don't invite me back next year, well, hopefully someone's got something good out of this, I'll still be friends with you, Kanzi, forever, mate. Oh! It's true. It's Mother Nature's pharmacy. So get it in here. it's important that you take away this information and once again clarify with the people you're dealing with. If you know someone is using anti-inflammatories, they've got arthritis, they've got and dicky knee, they've been suffering with that, they've got iliotibial problems, they've got whatever, rotator cuff impingement. Again, it's a form of itis. Get them, assess their food. What are you eating? Tell me. No, I don't want you just to say, oh, I have a bit of this. I need you to document it. I want 14 days. And you'd notice in the notes that I had, we talk about eye-mouth gap. We talk about food optimism. There's things that, again, the diaries that people document are not always going to be truthful. Not by lack of that. They just tend to under-record what they're consuming. And they'll think they do more exercise than they actually do. They sit on their bum a lot longer than they think they do. They watch too much TV. Biggest Loser and stuff like that. Next one is product awareness. This is the most powerful tool in my business. This. If you don't do this now, you need to undertake this. This is what people need. You need to take them to the supermarket. You need to teach them what you think they know. Which is the baked beans that's going to have an effect on insulin secretion because of sugar? I can tell you now, it's SPC that's the good one. You need to know the effect of food. Once you put it in the food tube, what happens? You're playing Russian roulette if you don't know. Who eats barbecue sauce? Who has tomato sauce? Who has sweet chili sauce? Which one of the soy sauces is better? Is it Hokeman? Has that got more effect on insulin secretion than others? It's important that you know that stuff. And guess what? If you don't, you need to come and do one with me. I don't care if you live in Adelaide. Come up to Brisbane and do one with me. The biggest thing that I do in my business is the supermarket tour, because how many of us are visual learners? They go, oh my God, I normally spend 3 hours in here, Craig. I'm reading this. Oh, this label. Do I read per serve? Do I read per 100? Fat. Okay, fat. It's got here total fat. Total fat's 40 grams. Saturated fat's 3 grams. So is that 3 in that 40, or is that trans fats? Mono, poly? Oh my God, I don't know. Sugars, carbohydrates, total carbohydrates. How much per serve? How much sugar will have an insulin effect? So once again, if you want some simple stuff that you can give your clients and make a massive difference immediately, if Filex is $695 for you to attend, this stuff here, 3 numbers, will make a massive difference to your clients if you can dictate to them, get it tattooed on their forehead. Total fat should be less than 10 grams per 100 grams, and saturated fat should be less than 3. Sugars should be less than 5 grams per 100. If they're eating, so I can tell you, if they're eating barbecue sauce and tomato sauce, well, they're anywhere from 38 to 73 grams of sugar per 100. Go and eat a Mars bar instead. It's amazing. But I had grilled chicken breast and broccoli and carrot and yellow carrot and red cabbage, but then you freaking drowned it in barbecue sauce and it's become shit. It's important, again, that you can justify what you're telling them via anatomy and physiology fact. The insulin secretion will inhibit hormone-sensitive lipase. The fat bank teller can't work if you have an insulin bath. Remember, this is fat loss we're talking about. If you want to become mean and green, the Hulk, insulin's your best friend. He's your buddy. You want to be bathing in insulin. There's a massive difference between being mean and green and at 3% body fat and being, again, Joe and Betty Bag of Donuts or Mr. and Mrs. Citizen. They're carrying 38% body fat and look like Oompa Loompas. They need your help. You can give them that help immediately. Guess what? I'm not going to charge you a cent more, but once you go shopping with me next week to the supermarket and we go through the products and look at which salad dressing you have, which sauce you have, which breakfast cereal you have, then they go, right, everything I've ever done with you has been worth it just because of this. Because now they go, Craig, I don't spend 3 hours in the shopping centre now doing my head in and crying and ending up eating a block of chocolate on the way out because I'm stressed. I know, right, bang, 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 I'm out of there. I've got more time to spend with you as trainers. So easy. But you've got to know why you've done that. You don't need to be a nutritionist to go to a supermarket tour.
What was the sugars one again?
Under 5 grams per 100.
That was 3, and what was 10?
Total fat. That works, doesn't it, Tony? The pleasure principle. This is critical. Once again, why do you lovely ladies buy Lorna Jane and that Brazil stuff and all that fancy stuff? Does it make you feel good, or do you cry once you put it on? Hopefully you buy it because it makes you feel good. People purchase for one reason, and one reason only: to increase pleasure and decrease pain. They're coming to see you as the fitness gurus because they're sick of having to walk sideways through the door, or they're sick of looking at themselves in the mirror and going, I can't look at it. I'm a fat pork chop who needs help. They're with you now because of that fact. So you are their pleasure centre. You need to be able to tap into that. They've made the initial decision to come and see you, so you want to be in a position where you can minimise danger and angst and increase or maximise results and reward. That's what people do things for. They don't go and train with a trainer and puke up because they're going to feel bad tomorrow. They're hoping in all hell that they're going to feel better about what they've done. The endorphin, serotonin, gamma, dopamine, the relationship happening there is sweet, and they've only done that because of you. Because ultimately they're not coming to spend 50, 60, 70, 100, whatever you charge, dollars to train with you. They're not coming to bench press and squat and burpee and CrossFit. They're coming because you are the guys that are going to help them get where they want to. You are their pleasure centre. You need to take more responsibility for what you do, how important you are to people. As we talked about in the SBS thing the other night, the importance of what you guys can do is immense. But you have to be good at what you do. You have to continue to study. You can't rest on your laurels. I want you to go home and not go to Google. I want you to go to the Cochrane Review, or I want you to go Pedro, somewhere, a good database, and type in trypsin and find out what that does. Adipsin, find out what that does. Become real fitness professionals, fat loss experts. People only do what they do because they want pleasure. You buy to increase pain, not pleasure. Only if you're a sick puppy, you like pain. Who believes that? Who thinks that's the case? Why did you come to Filex? It cost you $700. What were you hoping to get out of it? Pleasure or pain? Yeah, because you're going away. This is your career. You're going to make a massive difference to people. Find their pleasure centre. Ask the W questions. What do you want? When do you want it? Why? When? How will you feel when you get it? How will you feel when you don't? What are you willing to do to sacrifice to achieve your goal? And what do you want from me? How can I help you get where you want to? Like I said, first question I said, what do you want to learn today? I hope that you get verbal diarrhea. But it's always the one, well, I'm not going to ask a question. I might look silly. Ask as many questions as you can. The panel beater. What's the panel beater? The weight training room. The only place the Volkswagen Beetle becomes the Porsche is with weight training. Correct? Yes. Cellular trauma, satellite cell theory. We get the insulin component, the protein synthesis. We obtain that through the panel beater. You need to grunt and groan. You need to get angry. You need to deadlift. You need to squat. You need to lunge. And again, unless you're injured and you have to make subtle adjustment, you need testosterone, growth hormone, insulin, bathing now. You need it. This is the time you need it. The panel beater. You need to become great friends with it. You've got rust. You don't want it. Get in there and push yourself hard. Is resistance training something that will allow you to obtain triacylglycerol or fat loss? Will it? Yes, it will. Will any take place while you're training? Yes, it will. There's an endorphin release. There is adrenaline that binds to the beta receptor that allows triacylglycerols to enter the bloodstream, to be transported to the mitochondria, to be burnt as fuel. You allow that to happen. What is the benefit of resistance training post? We increase because of the cellular trauma that takes place here. We've damaged the myofibril. We have the amino acids, our branch chain amino acids, isoleucine, leucine and valine. They are transported here along with the satellite cells to manifest a larger tissue area, circumference. They are then more active. We've got more mitochondria. What do mitochondria do? They burn this shit. We win. We're lean and mean, or tight-toned and yummy mummies, big, bold and buff men. Weight training is critical, absolutely. Is anyone scared of weight training? Are any of your female clients scared of weight training? Oh, the years I did it. Man, I don't know how many times. Oh, I'm not touching that. I'm scared. I don't want to get any bigger. Who's heard of acute hypermile? It's a natural phenomenon that takes place within the first 6 to 12 weeks of training. What is acute hypermile? It is protein swelling with water. It takes place. It's a physical manifestation of what resistance training does. What is most of us? You, me, water. There's cellular trauma. There's more intracellular water. The muscle fibre swells. The chicks are training and they say, Craig, you said I'm going to get leaner, but my shirt's tighter. It's acute hypermile. Tell them that's what they're going to feel. So when you say, no, Craig, you said I wouldn't get any bigger, you lied. It's a phenomenon that takes place. Guess what? It dissipates. Once your body has that relationship, hey, this is normal. They're doing this regularly now. Guess what? That intracellular water enters the extracellular bath. So yes, expect a little bit of protein swelling because there's cellular trauma taking place. Remember, this is medical science. You are dealing with cellular tissue. It's medicine you're dealing with. It's trauma. Once you've undertaken an injury, you need nutrition to fix that. Next one is psychology. I believe in regards to physical morphing, 65% of that is attitude and behaviour. Who gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning to make scrambled eggs, boiled eggs, to George Foreman grilled chicken breasts, to have their broccoli ready, to have their brown rice quinoa ready, to have all of that sorted, their salads cut? It is a preparation thing that's psychology driven. It's habitual. It's something you have to take ownership of, and it's a habit. There's no such thing as good or bad food. Who believes that? I do. What's wrong with a Big Mac? What's wrong with it? Nothing if you have one. But what happens when it becomes a bad behaviour? That's when it's problematic. So I hate when we talk about junk food. I despise the term. It's not about good nor bad foods. It's about bad behaviour. You need to take ownership for what you do. Your clients need to take ownership for what they do. You're not there holding their hands all the time. But you can have better outcomes if you give them the facts. Remember, 10-3-5. They need to know that. So they're not consuming something that's going to inhibit their goals, if they really want their goal. If you're working with them over and over again, and they're not getting what they want, it's not because they can't, it's because they won't. They don't want it enough. It's not far enough on the rung, on their ladder. Charles Poliquin, who's heard of Charles Poliquin? Amazing man, because he speaks the truth. I saw him speak once, and a gentleman was in the audience and says, Charles, why do you always look so good? You always look shit hot. You're ripped. And he is. He's a very lean, muscular man. And he's very much protein. He said, I'll tell you why. I love myself. I respect myself more than I love the cinnamon donuts like you do, you fat porker. That's how he responded to that question. That guy didn't say anything again. He didn't leave the room. But the fact of the matter is, we are overweight and carrying more fat mass than for a few reasons. Genetic predisposition, because we loathe ourselves enough to continue to hide and to have bad relationships with food, or because we're lazy. The reality is you've got to have the attitude and behaviours right to achieve what really is important, because I have a massive belief that the real gym of life is called the kitchen. If you don't get the food right, you can't expect to fix that cellular trauma. So you can't expect, if there's this much damage down at a cell and in our bloodstream, there's nothing there to aid in fixing that, well, don't expect that to change. And that's not going to change because of one reason. Your attitudes and behaviours aren't right. Once you learn to respect yourself, no longer self-loathe, no longer use bad language, I can't do this, I'm a failure, I've tried hard, I've tried every diet. Yeah, you might have tried for a short time, but you haven't committed to what your goal is. Conviction gives direction. The problem with most of us, if we stand for nothing, we'll fall for everything. That's how diets work. I'll try the lemon detox diet. That's the next card that I'll hope will work for me. No, it didn't work. Celebrity Slim, I hope that will work for me. Atkins diet, I hope that will work for me. You're standing for nothing, you're falling for friggin' everything. That is the reason. You need to have a great belief in the people that is in your circle of influence. They're aiding you in understanding how you work. Again, I had a great discussion with a lass who's here working as a, what do you do? What is it? These people that work in yellow? Volunteers, thank you. And she was saying that she finds the biggest thing, the disc profiling, the personality traits. She'll work with someone and say, look, I don't care what you tell me, just train me. So, unfortunately, you have to work with that, don't you? But over time, the relationship forms and you'll be able to give them further direction, further conviction, further tools in the tool chest to make them master tradesmen. You want to be master tradesmen? You don't go out into your workplace, a construction site like a health club, with very little knowledge base and start saying, oh, I'll write a diet for you. Okay, we're going to work on 55% protein, 35% essential fat, 10 to 15% carbohydrate. It's not your job to do that, and it's also negligent. But once you go to the workplace with more tools in the tool shed, tool chest, you can go away and say, look, I know that kangaroo's a great meat because it's very high in conjugated linolenic acid. It's got B12 rich. It's a fantastic protein source with next to zero saturated fat. And the benefit of that kangaroo meat with the conjugated linolenic acid aids us in reducing adipose store, aiding in less inflammation at the adipocyte, less cytokines, less cellular trauma, better body, happier person, great results. They believe then you've educated them with stuff, important stuff. Some succeed as they're willing to pay the price. The price is sacrifice. You only achieve because you make the choice to achieve. The people that come and see you, if you're working in a 12-week challenge, they've made a decision to change. It's your chance then to inspire, to educate, to motivate, to do as much as you can to help them achieve what they want, if they want. If they don't want to, you can't go home crying at night and say, why the hell didn't it work? It wasn't because of you dudes, it was because they didn't want to. And that's hard sometimes, really hard. Yes, yes.
Just on the genetics.
Predisposition, yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about that and where it lands?
I wish I could. I'm not a geneticist. I wish I could. It's just horrible. We know that it has such a massive effect on. It's a huge part, So if someone's got genetic predisposition to, obviously breast cancer, they're going to get it. You can be the most clinically sound eater and you still align yourself. You might have a great relationship with trying to defy, abundance of estrogen, by eating soy and whole grains and your lignans and still, unfortunately, deal with that. But I suppose you've just got to play the best cards you can. But genetics is huge. Mm-hmm. Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely. But it's often an excuse. It's the shrine of excuses. They'll come in with a list. Oh, I'm overweight because I have, a bad thyroid activation. My T3 and 4 is shocking. Is it really? Okay, well, let's go get a blood test. I just need it on my clinical note. It comes back, it's fine, So the reality, it's another excuse, So these are things that we don't want to use as excuses. We have to have an awareness of once they have those sorts of issues, especially if they have that clinical history of, siblings are overweight, parents, grandparents, both sides of family, etc. But it's not always the case, It's not always an excuse. Yeah, sorry.
So I was just going to ask, with someone that is psychologically unwilling,
Yes.
what do you do about that?
Bitch slap them hard. No. You've really got to do the best you can to find that relationship that works. Ask them, you often have to take them aside and say, look, why are you here? What do you want from me once again? What are you willing to do? What am I not meeting you effectively enough? Is the information I'm giving, are you bored?
A lot of the times I find, because I specifically work with women
Yes.
in a certain group, and I find a lot of them to be really low in confidence.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't want to achieve.
Yeah. So it's really important that you ask them why, So how can I make you feel better about yourself? And it's not always about thumping them in the training. Go and have a mocha with them. Go and have a coffee with them. It's getting to know. Remember, they're there with you. If you know, every week they come and see you and they're still down in the dumps, why have they dragged themselves to see you? You are their ray of light for some reason. You need to find out why. Because otherwise they just don't show up. I'm sure most personal trainers have had people not show up, and that pisses you off like no end. But there's obviously some reason. But you need to dig deep. With psychology, it's about getting the shovel out and asking. Making them face their demons and, often slap them across the face with a wet fish. It's not easy, it's not. And what will work for one won't work for the other. And that's where your communication skills and abilities as a skilled fitness professional will come of age just through practice. But it's a fair question. And it hasn't got a specific, there's the template answer. It's a horrible one, unfortunately, because we're dealing with human beings, unfortunately. Physiology and anatomy. Oh, this is it. I love this stuff. I could talk about it all day. Okay, learn this stuff, know this stuff. How often do you read about digestion, chief cells, parietal cells? How often? Do you understand how it works? If you don't, you need to know a little bit about it. You need to stick your head in a book. It doesn't have to be, a Tutora and Grabowski text. It can be A&P for dummies. But you'll get some stuff out of that's important stuff. This system here is phenomenal. Fat loss is this. Endocrine function is critical. All that there, we were talking about hormones. Guess what? Hormones, endocrine. Nervous system works in conjunction with the endocrine system. Get to know some of that stuff. Doesn't mean you have to know it like the back of a textbook, but when someone mentions a hormone, I know that stuff. I know insulin will inhibit fat loss. I know that glucagon, its little brother, is what we need to be in a glucagon bath more often. Taking insulin at bay, having glucagon play, will enable us to get to triacylglycerols, or those fat cells, and go through a process of gluconeogenesis. Remember glucose, neo from another, genesis, like Phil Collins used to make beautiful music. So we're making glucose from another source. So wouldn't that be good? That we're using fat to make glucose so we can replenish liver glycogen and muscle glycogen stores? That would be fantastic. And that happens. But you only can have that happen. How good would it be if you knew that stuff? And you just go, wow, I know that stuff now. So I know why these high protein diets are vogue and why they're now scientifically sound. Because of that reason. Gluconeogenesis cost, thermogenic effect of food cost, all of this stuff. It's great. It's not boring. But you don't need to sit down like a novel and read it, because then you'll just send you to sleep because of the big names. But you will learn truckloads of stuff if you want to become good at fat loss. As I said, I dare you to look up that stuff. If you don't know it now, find out a little bit about it. Okay, here's a question. Glut transporters, glucose transporters. Which one of the glucose transporters sits on the adipose cell and muscle cell only? Glucose transporter 4. Glucose transporter 4 sits on a fat cell. It's insulin dependent. So we can be shuttling glucose into a muscle, and we can be shuttling glucose into a fat cell making fat. Is fruit going to have an effect on insulin secretion and GLUT transporter 4? No. Why? Because fructose is non-insulin dependent. Why? Because we don't have phosphofructose kinase 1 that enables us to use fructose. What happens with all fructose? It goes to the liver. It's converted to fat. See, that stuff is important for you to know. Because then why would you go and say have for breakfast, fruit salad and fruit yogurt. You'd be doing that because you don't like that person and you want them to become bigger Oompa Loompas. So it's important that you understand that stuff. It's important, I mean really important. If you're dealing with people for fat loss, it's not about frigging calories in and calories out. It's not. Not all calories are created equal. There's a higher cost in regards to amino acid breakdown than there is in carbohydrate and lipid. So how can we equate that a calorie is a calorie? A calorie smallery. Don't focus on kilojoules in and calories out, whichever one you want to work with. Focus on the effect of when you put it in the food tube, what happens? This is it. This is the bee's knees. This stuff is so cool and you really will learn a lot. If you're dealing with weight loss and lean body mass and lean muscle mass conversions, it's important that you know some of that stuff. There will be soon CEC courses and stuff you can do on all this stuff, so that will be interesting, I hope, for you guys anyway. Protein power, the 7th P. What's important about protein power? The thermogenic effect of food at 30 to 40%. So for 100 calories, I'll use calories because I'm old, 100 calories, that means 60 to 70 of those calories are absorbed. The rest are lost as what? Heat. Yes, that is correct. So therefore, a calorie is not a calorie because of the process of, through gluconeogenesis, converting amino acids to another fuel source. Did you know if you're on a high protein diet, low carbohydrate diet, with enough essential fats like mono and polyunsaturated fats, up to 57% of those amino acids are converted to glucose in the liver? That's amazing. That means you can be fueling glycogen stores after training through gluconeogenesis, converting amino acids to glucose. That's fact. Generally 15 to 20% of energy intake, diet to come from proteins, preferably from complete proteins. I'm sure most of you know complete proteins contain all 8 essential amino acids, yeah? So again, predominantly animal-based products have all of those, isoleucine, leucine, valine, tryptophan, phenylalanine. They've got all that histidine. They've got those essential amino acids that are critical because we cannot manufacture them. Critical to get that. How much? What do we consume? 0.8 up to 2.2 grams of protein per day. Do you know what? It's not so much about how much protein though. It's about how much leucine is in that protein food source. To obtain muscle tissue synthesis through a protein-based ingestion, you need 4 grams of that food to come from leucine. So therefore, 40 grams of red meat will give you 4 grams of leucine. 27 grams of whey protein will give you 4 grams of leucine. That will keep you in an anabolic window to continue to manufacture synthesis of metabolically active tissue called muscle. It's critical that you understand then that it's the amino acids, it's not proteins, it's those free-form amino acids that are changing physical structure. Leucine is king. Leucine's anabolic. It's going to allow you to morph. You need good food sources. So we currently sit about 4% leucine in whole grain proteins, about 6% leucine in soy proteins, anywhere between 10 and 12 in milk-based proteins, including whey and casein, and between up to the highest is 12 whey protein. It's the highest in regards to leucine percentage of food matrix in proteins. Chicken 7.5% leucine. So if you get that good synergy of those food sources, you'll be in a leucine bath, which will enable you and your clients to manufacture more anabolic tissue. Proteins are not great energy sources, but they're amazing for building the engines in the vehicle, enabling to have more protein tissue, more mitochondria, more available warehouses to burn that ugly stuff that we dislike so much. And most of your clients have an abundance of, and they're not happy about it. Fat. Well, question time. Is there any? Has anyone understood it? Yes.
You know how you mentioned before your business and what you guys do? Is that very similar to Charles Kelvin's
No, completely different. I don't blueprint anything. So someone will come in and they say, Craig, I don't like meat. Well, guess what? I can't deal with meat. I'm dealing with a vegan. Well, I'm not going to throw meat at them. So again, in the soy proteins and the whole grain proteins, the tofus, the tempehs, those sorts of things I have to learn to deal with. They're not as good in regards to biological value, but again, I have to do it. It's them. So I can't blueprint nothing. I can't just go and say, well, I want you to swallow. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I don't. And I do deal with athletes. I deal with a synchronised swimmer who represents Australia now. So I do deal with athletes, but they're not my bread and butter. Because athletes, I could tell them they eat a baby poop sandwich after training, guess what? They'll do it. You know, if that helps them achieve what they want to. But I love Joe and Betty Bag of Donuts because they're the people that want help. They're the people that my business revolves around. So yeah, that's fantastic. I'm a nutritionist, so I don't have a favour for any one or the other eating regimes. Yes. You shouldn't need to take multivitamins. Yeah. I definitely think you'd need to take it if you ate like most of the Western world do. And they work long hours and they're highly stressed, so there's lots of cortisol secretion, there's a lot of immune system breakdown, white blood cell challenges, eosinophils, neutrophils, they're all working overtime. The body's not functioning effectively, so by ingesting some trace and elements, some of the B group vitamins to allow us to get the fuels we need from carbohydrates, proteins, etc., sure. But it doesn't, once again, have that vital force of food. Yes, soil leaching and all of that stuff does exist, there's no doubt. But it's, we suffer more because we eat less of the psychedelic plant kingdom. And it means you need to invest time in your food. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another debate completely. Yeah, definitely. Yes, young lass. Oh, one of God's greatest foods. The old traditional oat. Fantastic, hey? Low in sugar, high in fibre, beta-glucans. It's easy. Costs next to sweet FA. It's top tucker. It really is. It's fantastic. More questions. I love questions.
What's your breakfast?
Oh, I'll tell you my breakfast. It's special. Yeah, it is. Eggs are fantastic, but where's the position stand currently? 6 eggs a day. 6 eggs a week is now where we sit in regards to dietetic alignment, okay, and where we sit with the Australian Dietary Council. Okay, eggs are critical because of the choline, that a great amino acid. Remember that the myelin sheath is built from choline. The specific neurotransmitters, acetylcholines, you need those for muscles to activate. So again, the specific yolk, don't be scared of yolk. Don't go and do this 6 egg whites and 1 yolk and the rest, feed to the dog. The dog will be happy, we won't be. So, yeah, eggs are fine. And they're great in regards to their protein value, and the satiety effect is sensational. So they're top tucker.
Could someone that's doing heavy bodybuilding have more eggs?
Oh, they could, but again, it'd be much better and wiser to consume a vaster array of those protein sources, But they could have more. They've got more muscle mass. They've got, better abilities to remove some of the, the high waste or nitrogen waste. But it's just, again, it really comes down to educating them as well. Remember that bodybuilders are eons ahead of us. Remember, 100 years ago, they were onto this high protein thing, But again, which scientist would listen to a bodybuilder? He had veins like major arterioles. He looked like a big racehorse. We're not going to listen to him. He's got no idea what he's talking about. Guess what? They're unbelievably. How good's Lee Priest look? Who's seen Lee Priest in the Lee Priest Nutrition? Oh, man, I was just over the moon when I saw how good he looks at the moment. Most girls mightn't like it, but, geez, for me, I still love that dude. He has guns like cannons. He's amazing. Yeah. Ah, is it? Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. More and more now, unfortunately, Celiac, gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. Who's heard of FODMAP? Now, this is a new one, FODMAP, fermentability of oligosaccharides, disaccharides, mono and polyunsaccharides. Guess what? people friggin' can't undertake the ingestion of fruit anymore because they put this stuff in their mouth that they never eat. All of a sudden the white blood cells go, foreign matter, we can't ingest it. They start bloating and they're rumbling and they're farting and spewing because they can't absorb fruit anymore. This is what's happening through this unfortunate manifestation of bad food choices. We're not eating how we were meant to eat. So it's critical that psychedelic plant kingdom, and unfortunately, working with celiacs is difficult. It is challenging. You know, unfortunately for them, their absorption of iron and calcium because of the way that they are, yeah, it's big, it's tough. Oh, okay, so the stresses are even higher. But again, I'm assuming as a bodybuilder, it's always, you know, dangerous, but she'd have great nutrition knowledge, you know. Excellent. More power to the princess. She'll do well. Ladies, gentlemen, more? No more? Come on, ask. Oh.
You know the carnitine, and you're saying now...
L-carnitine? Yeah.
So what do we derive that from? Like, what sort of...
It's in us, from food, carnitine, you know.
What sort of food source?
So red meat is a fantastic source, you know. Again, eggs themselves, carnitine, fantastic. Eat food and then use supplements when you need them. That's the real key, you know. I'm a massive fan of supplements. When I was competing as a bodybuilder and riding for supplements, you had that stuff thrown at you. You know, it's fantastic tucker when you need it. But as it says, it's a supplement source. Great question. My breakfast. I have 2/3 of a cup of oats, and then I have frozen berries, mixed berries, blues, reds, etc. And I have Bornhofen natural yogurt for acidophilus and bifidus. And then I stick whey protein powder on top of it. And I have that breakfast, lunch, dinner. Why? High fibre, great amino acids, leucine to stimulate muscle tissue synthesis and less of degradation. I have the berries. Why? Colour, antioxidant, natural cancer fighters, enables me to poop. All of that good stuff. Fantastic tucker. And I use, it's called 5-grain porridge. So it has barley, oat, triticale, rye, and rice. Why? Again, because of the benefits of the beta-glucan in all of them. Finish. I've got to finish. I love you all. So if you need or want to, obviously most of you would have got my card, but how to contact me through my website or email me at that. Thanks for having me, team.